My name is Bo. I am a heroin addict. Um, I appreciate Shane inviting me to come in here and tell my story. And the main hope is to spread some hope and hope that my story relates to somebody else and I can help somebody get out of the dark hole that I've been in. Um, I am almost 18 months clean. Which I feel like is still early on in sobriety. Not to take anything away from that, it's a miracle for someone like me to have that much time, and I am grateful for it. Um, when I've told my story before, a point I try to get across is that sobriety hasn't been sunshine and rainbows, but it has allowed me to live a much happier life than when I was using, um, regardless of difficulties I've had in sobriety. So there's a chance for happiness, and this is coming from somebody who thought they were just going to die using, almost did die using. Uh, I've been a user of drugs or alcohol at some level pretty much my whole adult life. I'm 34 years old. Um, I started drinking at a really young age. I was around 11, and most of my drinking and drug career was a lot of fun until it wasn't. Um, I've been taught that this is a progressive illness, and I believe that. It wasn't my case. Like I said, I started drinking early, and I was drinking every weekend pretty early on. Progressed to taking pills, taking uppers and downers in high school. I was a all day, everyday pothead for a good decade. The end of high school through most of my adult life. The drinking and other drugs all kind of came to a halt when the heroin began because I just wasn't about to spend money on anything else. And when I say anything else, I'm including things for my wife, for my daughter. I mean, anything else. It turned me into a terrible person for a long time. Um, I got out of high school. I went to college at UK, and it just continued. Cocaine. I went through a large psychedelic phase. I wanted to be a hippie for a while, going to jam band festivals. I love the Grateful Dead. Um, Luckily, I still love all that music. There isn't that association with the music and the drugs, and as I'll get into, music has saved my life in sobriety for sure. Um, I don't have a story of an injury lead me to opiates or anything like that. I've just always liked getting high my whole life. Even looking back now, I don't know if I can necessarily tell you why. I think in general, I think I had a lot of fear running my whole life. I just wasn't okay being myself and okay being me. Um, and so I was always looking to escape, I think. But I've had to accept it. I really don't know anything for sure. Um, so it progressed, more drugs more often. I was introduced to oxycodone in the form of Percocet and OxyContin, and I got hooked on that when I was in college, in my early 20s about. Um, I finished school somehow. I finished a master's degree somehow. Um, so didn't have consequences up to this point. I'm just still kind of getting high, getting drunk, and thinking everything's fine. Thinking I'm enjoying myself. And it continued to progress. The pills went away, and by this point I'm physically dependent, and I'm not about to get sick. So the pills went away, heroin was available, so it wasn't even a choice at that point. Um, and I still, even when I was physically dependent, I still thought I'm smart enough not to get too hooked on this, or I'm smart enough, this isn't gonna mess up my life. I went through about 6 years of all day, every day heroin use, truly believing in my heart that today's the last day. I'm done after today. And starting tomorrow, I'm going to get sick for a few days, no big deal. Um, and then I'm going to fix all this stuff I've messed up. And I really did believe that. It's insanity. I did believe that for 6 years, maybe more. I met the girl who would become my wife when I was in Lexington, going to school. We moved back to Northern Kentucky, got married. It was shortly after we were married that I switched to heroin, and I kept it a secret from my wife for about those 6 years. She knew something was wrong for years. I went to some extreme lengths to hide it. She's a very intelligent, strong woman, but I was a manipulator and a liar. I would create fake invoices at work to show where money's going, and just crazy, crazy lies to cover up all the money I'm spending on drugs. So she knows something is wrong. But from her perspective, I'm just fading away. She's just kind of losing touch with me because I'm just getting worse and worse on the drugs, on the heroin, and at some point, I believe she thought, and I thought too, a way to get out of this is to have a kid, because I can't quit at this point. I've tried to detox at home a bunch of times, can never do it. So I can't quit for my wife. I can't quit for any friends or family. But I can quit for a kid for sure, right? I can definitely stop for a baby. She gets pregnant, and it's like I've got a countdown now. I got 9 months to knock it off. 9 becomes 8, 7, 6, all the way down. I got 1 month left, and I'm still can't stop. But I've got a month left, plenty of time, right? Plenty of time to quit still. Our friends threw us a diaper party, which for me and my buddies was an excuse to just get hammered. I get really drunk that night, and my wife wakes me up the next morning and says my water broke. And here's how selfish of a person I still am. I try not to be today, but my first thought wasn't, oh no, is the baby all right? My first thought wasn't, oh no, is my wife all right? My first thought was like, poor me, I had a month left. How unfair. Now what am I gonna do? I can't be a dad if I'm having to be sick. I got to take care of this baby. I can't take a few days off here at the beginning. So I stayed hooked. My daughter Eloise was born a month premature. She was 4.4 pounds when she was born, and I did love her right off the bat. I did love her. But I had the drugs. The drugs made a wall. But they put up a wall to me in loving anything. I wasn't really able to love anything. They kept her for a week in the hospital, and I miss doctor's appointments. I'm leaving all the time with excuses about work just to go get dope. I wasn't there. I was there physically, from the outside, I'm trying to be super dad. I'm waking up every 3 hours to feed the baby. I'm just getting high in the bathroom first. It was just terrible. It was a nightmare. So we have the baby, and nothing changes. I'm doing the same stuff. I'm leaving at weird hours with crazy excuses and spending the money. The utilities and water were shut off at times. She went to buy diapers and couldn't at times. I put my wife through absolute hell. and I endangered the kid. Just terrible stuff. Just to do whatever I needed to do to keep going. Still thinking I'm going to quit tomorrow. Still thinking I'm going to fix everything. I'm running around getting these crazy high interest loans, not paying them. And that's how I eventually got caught. A sheriff came to our house on a Sunday, knock at the door. I'm upstairs with my wife and the baby, and I go answer the door. It's the sheriff. I'm being taken to court for not paying one of these loans back. And I just sign. He says, "Are you, uh, you know, are you?" My real name's Robert Honeybrink. "Are you Robert Honeybrink?" "Yeah, whatever. I'm signing whatever. Just get out of here before she sees." I shut the door, and she's standing there holding the baby and says, "Who was that?" And it was a Sunday, and I said, "It was the mailman." And she knows the mail doesn't come on a Sunday. She looked out the window, saw the sheriff's car driving away, and just looked at me like, "What have you done?" And I didn't even come clean then. I told her I was hooked on pills, Percocet, because that sounds way better than heroin. So I don't come clean, but in the relief on her face of she's known for so long and finally has confirmation. Man, I can still see that on her face. And she hung by me, man. She hung by me. Like, what do we need to do? I'm just going to be sick for a few days. I'll take a weekend to be sick for a couple days, back to work, fix everything. Now it's not a secret, so now I can really do this. She went out and got me, Gatorade and bread and essential oils to put in the bathtub for my legs and all this. She stuck by me, and she thought at that point that I got clean for 3 months. I really made it like 3 days and was right back to the same stuff. I'd pawned or sold everything of value that we had. I had started a new job and was making excuses for why I hadn't gotten paid yet, when I was really, of course, blowing all the money on drugs. So it didn't take very long, and she said, I know you're not clean. I'll give you a couple days. Either get honest with me, or me and the baby are gone. So of course I got high for the next few days. I got high up to the point that I went and told her, "Yeah, you're right. I didn't get clean. I'm still at it." And she stuck by me again. Gatorades and essential oils and all this, to try to help me get through it. Didn't work. Couldn't stop. I never knew what was wrong with me. I never knew anything about, I just didn't know. I didn't know what the problem of addiction was. I just thought I was physically hooked on a drug, and I couldn't get off it. I didn't realize there was a lot more to it, which I've since learned. So basically, she ends up kicking me out of the house, rightfully so. And I make an appointment to go meet a doctor to get on Suboxone. I think that's the way for me to get off it. The day before I was supposed to go to that doctor's appointment, my wife's cousin, I believe she worked for a judge, something related to parole. She called me, or she called my wife, but basically the message got to me of, "You're not going to that Suboxone doctor." She said she takes guys, or knows about guys going to a detox. She says they never have a bed open, but if they do, will you go? And at this point, I'm still getting high. At this point, it's like, I hear, "Oh, they never have a bed open." "Oh yeah, sure, absolutely, I'll go." Just like, I'm just trying to get people off my back so I can do what I want. They made me call on speakerphone right then and there. Of course, they had a bed open, and I'm like, oh. And from this point on, I don't know why I went. I don't know why I stayed in detox. I don't know why I agreed to go to long-term residential rehab afterward. but I did. I went, um, and I guess maybe I was just done. Maybe I'd had enough pain. I know that pain is a big ingredient of when we addicts get clean, get sober, and stay that way. Um, but I went. I for the first time heard other people talking about the things I went through, a lot of the same stuff I did, and they were clean, they were sober, and they seemed happy. Um, so, like I said, I don't know why. I don't know why so far it's stuck for 18 months, but it's been amazing. Sobriety's been incredible. I've found an inner peace, a calmness that I never had my whole life in sobriety, that has through today removed the need for me to get high. Still have plenty of thoughts about it, have dreams about it. I wake up thinking I relapsed, um, and that may never go away. Um, I've been introduced to spirituality in my life. I was always atheist, agnostic. I don't know. My whole life, I was raised Catholic. Never cared for church. I chose not to get confirmed when that time came. Um, and I think because of all that, I struggle with the word God a lot. So I've had to, God to me is just a word for something I don't understand. But, I believe in something out there, and I meditate a lot. I pray to it. I don't know what it is. But in general, I think if I try to do things like this when I'm asked, to where I can tell my story, and if anyone connects with it, if I always say yes to these sort of things, then I think I can stay clean and sober. Um, I realized I had a big change in myself uh, when I knew that I actually cared about somebody else. Because I didn't my whole life. I didn't care about anybody else. Just me, all me, selfish, ego-driven person, full of fear, and tough stuff to admit. But there's a lot of relief in admitting that, and trying to be better. And I still mess up all the time. I still do selfish things, but I'm trying not to. Um, and something like this is part of that. So I appreciate being able to do it. Um, in sobriety, I've gone through a divorce now. I've lost I've lost all custody of my daughter, who's now 3 years old. And tough, of course. I had it all. I had the family, and from the outside perspective, it's like I had the dream and I lost it all. Um, and I hate all the pain I caused through my addiction. But you know, for someone who was hooked on heroin, or any drug, or alcohol, whatever it is, if we're still alive, that's what counts at this point. We're alive. I'm alive, and I've at least got a chance to try to be better. May not ever be able to uh, right the wrongs I caused people, um, but I've at least got a chance to be better. Um, I don't. I've learned to let go. Like I said, I'm divorced now. I'm working on rebuilding that relationship with my child's mom. Um, After what I put her through, I get it. Uh, she probably, I probably deserved to have been left way before it was. I believe she really gave it a shot, and we tried, but sometimes there's too much damage done. But she lets me see my daughter, which is amazing. I mean, that little girl, they say we can't get sober for your daughter, for your kid. You got to do it for yourself. And I believe that was true for me. But now, having been clean and sober for a while, my daughter is absolutely motivation for me to stay clean and sober. Absolutely. The thought of that little girl, I want to be there. I want to be there for everything in her life from here on out. I want to be there to try to make up for what I put my ex-wife through. I want to be there for everything, man. I want to live. And that's the beautiful part of sobriety is I've found a way to live where no matter what I've lost or lose or continue, or what happens in the future, I'm all right with me just sitting here, regardless of anything external going on. I'm just all right with me. And I have just a kind of a base faith that if I stay clean, I stay sober, and I do my best to be useful, helpful, just not a terrible person, that everything will be okay. And I don't know what okay looks like. That's not up to me to determine. But if I do those things, it will be okay, however that looks. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. So I started playing guitar a while ago, but I really started writing songs. I wrote most of the lyrics to these songs when I was in treatment. I did 9 months of residential treatment. I wrote most of the lyrics to these songs there. And then when I got out, near the end of it, when I got out, I put it to music. And so I just started writing songs about a year or so ago. And I really just started singing when I got out of treatment about 8 months ago. A lot of dark stuff, a lot of sad songs, but so this is like a big part of my therapy and a big part of what I tie into recovery. And I never meant for anyone to hear these songs, but I've had the opportunity to try to use the music to connect with other addicts, alcoholics, and I've had people come up to me and end up calling someone who's in recovery to try to get back in it after hearing me play at an open mic. I got to play a fundraiser recently, and it's just awesome, man. It's awesome getting to use this for that. This is a song I wrote to my daughter Eloise. It's about a time that I tried to kill myself. I tried to overdose, and I remember waking up on the floor of my kitchen, just my arm folded under me, just a mess, and being angry that I was still alive, because I had it in my head that my wife and daughter would be better off without me. I believed it at that point. So this song I wrote to my daughter, basically saying, like, you can't understand how happy I am to get to see you now after I probably shouldn't be here. You don't know how glad I am to see you. You don't know how glad I am to see you. You don't know how glad I am to see you. 'Cause I tried to end it all. I woke on the ground and I was angry that I was still around. I thought you'd be better off without me around. Oh, how could I leave you? How could I leave you? Oh, how could I leave you? So you can't know how glad I am. You can't know how glad I am. You can't know how glad I am. You can't know how glad I am to see you. You can't know how glad I am to see you. You can't know how glad I am to see you. Thank you.